Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. God led you here for a reason. There's something about your life, your walk, your calling that has disrupted the spirit realm. You're not just a person with potential, you're a person with presence. And your presence shifts atmospheres. That's why the pressure has been unbearable. That's why the attacks have increased. That's why the silence has deepened. Because your awakening triggered something powerful. And now, heaven and hell are both watching, moving, and contending for what you carry. This isn't just about survival anymore. It's about dominion. And you're at the center of it all. Let's break this down into 7 chapters for deeper clarity. Before we go any further, like, share, and subscribe. This message isn't just content. It's a spiritual alert, a divine download, a prophetic confirmation meant for the chosen one, you. And to everyone who's been pouring into this assignment through super thanks. Thank you deeply. Your faith, your prayers, your support. They're not just appreciated, they're seen by heaven. If your spirit is resonating with this already, type 77 in the comments right now. That number isn't random. It's a spiritual signal, a declaration that you're aware of the battle around you, and you're choosing alignment over fear. This message didn't find you by accident. Heaven led you here, because what you're carrying isn't ordinary. You didn't just survive the attack, you activated a war. And now both heaven and hell are responding. Not everyone will finish this message, only those truly chosen. But for those who do, clarity will rise, and confirmation will hit your spirit like lightning. You're not just on a mission. You're the battlefield. So listen closely. Watch this again whenever your spirit stirs, because each time, another layer of divine strategy will unfold. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Your yes shifted the spiritual dimension. Chosen one. The moment you truly said yes to God, the entire atmosphere around your life began to respond. You may not have realized it at the time, but that yes didn't just change your direction. It altered the temperature of the spirit realm. It was a supernatural sound wave that moved through dimensions. Heaven heard it. Hell heard it. And nothing was the same again. Your yes wasn't just a word. It was a signal, a spiritual asterisk activation code. That one moment of surrender unlocked the next season of your destiny. That yes told God you were ready to walk by faith, even when the path wasn't clear. That yes told the enemy you were no longer a passive observer. You were stepping into your role as a warrior, a builder, a deliverer. Before your yes, the enemy could afford to leave you alone. You were living quietly, unaware of the massive kingdom potential inside of you. But your yes awakened your authority. It made you dangerous. You became a threat to the systems of darkness that relied on your silence, your confusion, your fear, and your doubt. But your yes broke that cycle, and in the spirit, alarms went off. Demons that had tracked your bloodline for generations were immediately alerted. Ancestral chains started to shake. The spiritual opposition wasn't personal, it was prophetic. It wasn't about who you were, it was about who you're becoming. Your yes rerouted generations. It spoke louder than trauma, louder than rejection, louder than pain. It declared to heaven, I'm available. And it declared to hell, you should have stopped me before I woke up. And from that moment forward, you were no longer walking alone. The angels assigned to your life were released to stand guard. The spiritual resistance you started feeling wasn't punishment, it was confirmation. Because now, you're in position, and your position is powerful. You didn't say yes to comfort. You said yes to divine conflict. You didn't say yes to popularity. You said yes to purification. You didn't say yes to safety. You said yes to strategy, to assignment, to spiritual warfare. That yes was never meant to make your life easier. It was meant to make your purpose clearer. It was never about avoiding battles. It was about showing you how powerful you are in them. And in that moment, the shift was irreversible. God heard your yes and began unlocking doors that were waiting for your agreement. The enemy heard your yes and began launching attacks to break your momentum. But what neither side expected was your consistency. You said yes and kept saying yes. Through the betrayal, through the delay, through the tears, through the silence, you kept showing up. And every time you did, your spirit grew louder. The heavens rejoiced. The darkness trembled, because something rare had occurred. A chosen one woke up. You are the answered prayer of your ancestors. You are the threat to the kingdom of darkness. You are the light in a lineage of loss. And it all started with one word: yes. Your yes broke open your assignment. Your yes changed the war strategy in the spirit. Your yes caused both heaven and hell to move. Because now they know you're not turning back. And now the war has officially begun. But so has your legacy. And God will not let your yes go to waste. Chapter 2. You exposed darkness without even trying. Chosen one, understand this. Your light is not loud, but it is undeniable. It doesn't boast. It doesn't scream. It just exists. And in its purity, in its power, in its divine authenticity, it exposes everything that isn't real around it. You don't walk into rooms to compete. You walk in carrying clarity. And that clarity disturbs everything pretending to be whole. You didn't ask to be a revealer. You didn't force anything into the light. But your spirit carries a frequency that darkness can't ignore. And the moment you arrive, the masks start to crack. People's true colors begin to surface, not because you provoked them, but because the anointing on your life agitates every unclean thing in the atmosphere. You are a walking mirror, a living filter, a spiritual detector. That's why people switch up on you with no explanation. That's why friends become distant. That's why co-workers grow cold. You didn't change. The spiritual realm around them did. The demons they made peace with? You make those demons uncomfortable. You walk into rooms and energies shift. You sit down and conversations get awkward. You speak truth and lies start losing power. That's the cost of your calling. You don't just carry light, you activate truth. Just like Jesus could walk into a synagogue and demons would start manifesting, you too carry that frequency. Not because you're trying, not because you're better, but because you're chosen. And chosen ones are marked in the spirit. You're not just visible in the physical, you're recognized in the spiritual. Just as the demons once said, Jesus I know, and Paul I know. Trust and believe. They know your name too. And they've been trying to shut you down ever since. You wonder why people slander you. You wonder why betrayal keeps finding you. You wonder why certain rooms never seem to accept you. It's not you they're fighting. It's the authority you carry. Your presence reveals what others are hiding. Your silence confronts what others pretend isn't there. Your purity convicts what others have gotten comfortable with. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need a platform to make impact. Your spirit does the talking. And that's why hell is uncomfortable. Because you're not trying to expose darkness, but you do chatis. You're not trying to disrupt cycles, but you are chak. You're not trying to break generational curses, but your obedience is shattering them anyway. You didn't come to condemn. You came to obey. But in obeying God, you became a walking contradiction to everything that isn't aligned with Him. That's why you trigger people. That's why you're misunderstood. That's why your name is in conversations you've never even walked into. Because when you said yes to purity, to alignment, to purpose, you declared war on every system that thrives in secrecy, manipulation, and darkness. And darkness doesn't go quietly. So now, every time you walk into a space, the shadows start shifting. Every time you speak truth, strongholds lose grip. Every time you show up in love, hate gets exposed for what it is, fear in disguise. You're not dramatic, you're divine. You're not problematic, you're prophetic. You're not difficult, you're discerning. Chapter 3, Hell targeted you because of what you're carrying. Chosen one, it's time to stop taking the warfare personally and start seeing it prophetically. The trials you've been facing, the attacks you couldn't explain, the spiritual pressure that made no sense in the natural. It wasn't about you as a person. It was about what you carry in your spirit. Hell doesn't waste energy on people who aren't a threat. Hell doesn't go after empty vessels. Hell doesn't attack people who are already lost. You were targeted because you're marked. You were marked because you're carrying something from heaven that hell cannot replicate or stop. Divine oil. What's in you is rare. It's not just talent. It's not just charisma. It's not just potential. It's divine strategy. It's prophetic sensitivity. It's generational authority. You don't just carry a message, you carry a mantle. The weight of what you're carrying has drawn the attention of both heaven and hell. And make no mistake, hell sees your destiny clearer than you sometimes do. That's why it tried to stop you before you even understood who you were. That's why your childhood was marked by rejection, confusion, or trauma. That's why people came against you early, before you ever had a title or platform. It wasn't about your present. It was about your future. It wasn't about what you've done. It was about what you're anointed to do. You carry fire in your bones. You carry light in your eyes. You carry heaven's blueprints in your soul. And hell has done everything it could to convince you that you're not worthy, not ready, not capable. But if you weren't carrying something powerful, you wouldn't be going through this level of pressure. Don't miss that. The greater the calling, the greater the clashing. You've been asking, why me? But the real question is, why not you? You've been entrusted with divine influence, not for your ego, but for your assignment. You've been anointed to be a vessel of breakthrough, to be a chain breaker, to be a voice where others went silent. Hell fears what you'll do if you ever truly believe it, if you ever truly step into it, if you ever fully trust what God placed inside you. You'll start waking up sleeping giants. You'll start dismantling generational strongholds. You'll build things that last. You'll heal things that have been broken for centuries. That's what this war is about. This isn't about you feeling sad or discouraged. This is about keeping you distracted so you never deliver what you carry. This isn't a battle for comfort. This is a battle for destiny. Hell knows you're dangerous. That's why the resistance has been relentless. But here's what hell didn't expect. You'd still be standing. You'd still be praying. You'd still be believing. You'd still be walking forward, even if it's with a limp. Chosen one, you are the prize in this war. Not because of pride, but because of purpose. You're not just trying to make it through life. You're shifting bloodlines. You're rerouting history. You're building for eternity. And the devil knows if you ever get fully activated, if you ever stop doubting yourself, If you ever surrender fully to the power of God inside you, it's over. Entire regions will be affected. Your family will be set free. The lies will break. The cycles will collapse. And what was once impossible will become the new normal, because you showed up carrying heaven. Chapter 4. Heaven is backing you, even when it feels silent. Chosen one, silence does not mean absence. Delay does not mean denial. And the quiet you're hearing in this season, it isn't because God forgot you. It's because heaven is working behind the veil. You might feel like you're in the fight of your life, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. You're wrestling with shadows, facing storms, and walking roads that feel abandoned. But hear this. Heaven is not ignoring you. Heaven is investing in you. God doesn't go silent to punish. He goes silent to prepare. When it gets quiet, it usually means the test has started. And the teacher is never the loudest when the test begins. This season of silence is where your spiritual muscles are being revealed. It's where you learn to trust without seeing, to worship without feeling, to speak what God said, even when nothing around you looks like it. And while you may not feel Him, He's still moving. While you may not hear Him, He's still near. The angels have been dispatched. They've surrounded your territory. They're fighting battles in realms your eyes can't perceive. You haven't been forgotten. You've been fortified. Heaven has assigned help, but it doesn't always come the way you expect. Sometimes the help looks like clarity. Other times, it looks like strength you didn't know you had. Sometimes it's a door opening. Other times, it's a door slamming shut to protect you from something ahead. The silence isn't heaven turning away. It's heaven trusting your maturity. You've grown. You've endured. You've passed test after test. And now heaven knows they can carry this one. They can handle this round. God doesn't keep warriors on training wheels. He graduates them into glory. He lets them experience weight because He's about to hand them a new weapon. And that weapon is forged in silence. It's shaped in solitude. It's strengthened in stillness. This battle you're in isn't proof that God left you. It's proof that you're carrying something so heavy, so valuable, so dangerous to hell, that heaven had to step back and let your anointing prove itself. And it is. You've cried, but you didn't quit. You've doubted, but you didn't detour. You've bent, but you didn't break. And heaven has recorded it all. Don't let the silence fool you. There are angels recording every act of obedience. There are scrolls being filled with every prayer you whispered. There are blueprints being finalized for what's coming next. Because after this silence comes your surge. Chosen one, you're not failing. You're forging. You're not being ignored. You're being elevated. You're not being left behind. You're being set apart. Heaven is backing you, even in silence, even in darkness, even in loneliness, because the throne you're called to sit on requires a depth of trust most people never develop. And you've got it. That's why the delay didn't destroy you. It defined you. And that's why heaven is proud. Not because you did everything perfectly, but because you never stopped showing up with a heart that still says, "Yes, Lord." Heaven sees you. Heaven supports you. And heaven is about to reward you. Chapter 5. You're walking through territory hell used to own. Chosen one, this isn't just about you walking forward. This is about you walking through history. Every step you take in obedience is shaking ancient altars. Every act of submission is reclaiming stolen ground. You're not just advancing, you're reversing curses. You're undoing decades, even centuries, of demonic rule that went unchallenged in your bloodline. This is generational warfare. You're stepping into realms where no one before you had the strength, wisdom, or faith to go. You're not just living your life. You're clearing out spiritual debris that's been buried in your lineage for generations. Every time you pray, chains rattle. Every time you say yes to God, darkness loses its grip. You're walking through places that once belonged to hell, and hell hates it. It used to own your family's patterns. It used to thrive in your bloodline's dysfunction. But then you showed up. Then you said, "It stops with me." You weren't born to repeat cycles. You were born to break them. You weren't chosen to carry trauma. You were chosen to heal it. That's why your obedience feels so heavy. You're not just obeying for yourself. You're obeying for generations you'll never meet. You're building a foundation so clean, so blessed, that your children's children will grow up under the covering of your surrender. This is why it's hard. This is why it feels lonely. Because you're walking roads no one in your family has walked. You're opening doors no one dared to knock on. You're praying prayers they never thought to pray. You're trusting God in ways they never did. And make no mistake, hell is furious. You're not just moving forward, you're displacing demons. You're not just breaking chains, you're evicting squatters. That's why you feel resistance every time you try to do something new. Every time you get near breakthrough, old temptations try to reappear. Because you're crossing borders. And the enemy thinks it still owns the land, but it doesn't anymore. God has deeded it to you, and your footsteps are anointed with authority. Yes, the warfare is real, but so is your assignment, and so is the power backing you. You're walking through places marked by abandonment and speaking identity. You're walking through lands ruled by fear and releasing faith. You're walking into rooms where pride used to sit and choosing humility instead. This is sacred ground now, not because it was always holy, but because you made it holy by showing up with God's glory. Every no to the flesh is a yes to the future. Every time you choose patience, peace, purity, you're laying bricks for a temple hell can't enter. You are a moving altar. You are a living declaration that this family will never be the same again. Chosen one, this is why the fight has been so intense. You've been tearing down principalities with your persistence. You've been releasing heaven in places hell had settled into. Don't let the resistance discourage you. Let it confirm you. It's not showing up because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're finally doing it right. You're not just walking, you're warring. And every time your foot touches the ground, heaven marks it as reclaimed. So keep walking, keep declaring, keep cleansing, keep building. Chapter 6. You've been enlisted as a kingdom warrior. Chosen one, you didn't ask for this war, but God equipped you for it. You didn't pray for this level of intensity, but your spirit can handle it. Why? Because you were never just called to believe. You were born to battle. You were born with purpose, woven into your bones, and fire in your breath. You were trained in hidden places where no one applauded, but heaven took notes. You don't fight like everyone else. You don't run from conflict. You resolve it in the spirit. You don't carry carnal weapons. You carry divine ones. Your praise is a sword. Your silence is a shield. Your obedience is a missile in the unseen realm. You carry intercession in your bones. You carry discernment in your soul. You carry strategy in your spirit. You were formed for spiritual confrontation, shaped for supernatural dominance. You're not fighting for sheer victory. You're fighting from Zit. Because Christ already won the battle, and now He's enforcing that victory through you. You're not guessing your way through this. You're being guided. Every fast you've kept, every tear you've sown, every whisper of prayer you've uttered in the night. It built armor around your soul. You're more than a prayer warrior. You're a kingdom warrior. Heaven has clothed you in spiritual authority. Hell has acknowledged your name. You're on hell's watch list because you carry too much light to be ignored. The darkness knew who you were before you did. Demons recognized your anointing when you were still questioning it. This isn't just a battle. This is a battlefield promotion. You've been promoted in the spirit. You've been handed blueprints others weren't trusted with. You've been entrusted with burdens that aren't punishment. They're prophetic signals. You feel more because you were chosen to see more. You cry more because your spirit is tuned into spiritual traffic others can't hear. You've been chosen to guard, to build, to confront, to stand, even when it's uncomfortable. And the war you're in right now, it's not a sign you're weak. It's confirmation that you're lethal. Heaven wouldn't assign you to a territory if you weren't trained to dominate it. Hell wouldn't fight this hard if your life didn't threaten its entire agenda. You weren't placed here to coexist with darkness. You were sent to overthrow it. Your spiritual uniform is battle-tested. Your scars are sacred. Your wounds are worship turned into warfare. You know how to worship while bleeding. You know how to speak life when death surrounds you. You know how to stand when the ground beneath you is shaking. And still, you rise. Still, you pray. Still, you prophesy. Still, you fight. Because a real warrior doesn't stop just because it's hard. They stop when heaven says it's finished. Chapter 7. This war will end with glory, not defeat. Chosen one, you didn't start this war in fear, and you will not end it in failure. This war didn't begin with panic. It began with prophecy. You didn't step into this season by accident. You were summoned by heaven's decree. Heaven doesn't lose battles, and neither do the ones who are aligned with its agenda. Everything you've been through, the betrayal, the silence, the warfare, it all has weight. But that weight is not here to crush you. It's here to crown you. You're not just being tested, you're being trusted. And trust from heaven always comes with a cost, but it also comes with a divine reward. The pain you feel now will become power that breaks others free. The battles you fought silently will become testimonies that shake nations. The weight you carry now will become a mantle others look up to and draw strength from. Heaven is not just fighting for you. Heaven is fighting with you. You are not standing alone. Generational curses are being overturned because of you. And hell is only raging louder because it already knows you win. You are a walking prophecy, and the enemy is terrified of what happens when you realize it. You're not the victim of this war. You're the reason it will never be repeated in your bloodline. You were selected to break cycles, to shift atmospheres, to birth something holy in a world gone dark. And when this is over, because it will be over, when the dust settles and the smoke clears, your name will echo in both realms, not because you never cried, but because you never quit, not because you knew every answer, but because you kept saying yes when it mattered most. They lied on you, mocked you, left you, and still you're standing, because the words spoken over your life came straight from the throne. You are the warrior walking out of the fire without the smell of smoke. You are the proof that destiny cannot be buried and that divine assignments don't die, even when everything around you tries to kill them. And every battle, every tear, every sleepless night will shout one undeniable truth. The chosen one didn't break. The chosen one birthed victory. The war is real, but so is your breakthrough. You're not almost finished. You're almost crowned. This isn't the end of your story. This is the part heaven already wrote in gold. Glory, victory, fulfillment, breakthrough, legacy. Keep walking, keep praying, keep trusting. You're closer than you've ever been. This war will not end in defeat. It will end with glory.